Good morning, Year 2. So today is our last lesson on food chains. Before we start, we're going to go back through the words we learnt yesterday because we're going to be using those today to make our own food chains. So our first word was my turn, producer. So a producer does not eat. It's anything that does not eat in the way we do. It makes its own food, usually from the sun, which means it's normally a plant and is at the start of a food chain. So all it means is that it does not eat like we do. My turn, consumer. A consumer is any animal that eats food. It doesn't matter if it's a plant or if it's meat, it just means it's an animal that eats food. For example, the cat that's on the screen, we know that they eat lots of different kinds of foods, and while they don't eat exactly like we do, they are happy to eat cat food, or they go out and find their own mice. So it doesn't matter that they don't look like us when they eat, they're still eating. Next word, predator. So a lot of you, when you hear predator, think big, scary animals, but it's not always. It just means it's any animal that eats another animal. My turn, prey. So a prey is an animal that gets eaten. So if the owl as a predator came to eat this mice that's on the screen, then the mice would be prey because it's been eaten. So today we're going to make our own food chains like the one here, and we're going to label them. So let's take a look. So you can see here that I have drawn out grass, a worm and a frog. And I've got my arrows to show that the grass is being eaten by the worm and the worm is being eaten by the frog. You all seem really confident on where to put the arrows now on food chains, so well done. So then I need to start my labels, and I started with the one I thought would be the easiest, which was producer, because I know the producer is the one that does not eat. And does grass eat? Not really. It produces its own food from the sun. So that is our producer. So then I moved on to find the consumers. Now remember, a consumer is any animal that eats. It can eat anything. So first I looked at grass. I know grass doesn't eat. That's a producer, not a consumer. Then I looked at the worm. I can see the grass is being eaten by the worm, so that makes it a consumer. And the worm is being eaten by the frog. The frog is eating the worm, which also makes it a consumer. So there's two consumers in this food chain. And once I've looked at those, I can start to look for predator and prey. Have a think to yourself. Can you remember what is a predator? What does it mean? Brilliant. It's an animal that eats another animal. So my frog is a predator because it's eating the worm, but the worm is not a predator because it doesn't eat animals, it eats grass. If the frog is eating the worm, then I know that that makes the worm prey because it's being eaten. Any animal that's being eaten is prey. We don't call grass prey. It's just a producer. It makes its own food. So then I made a slightly longer food chain. We looked at some yesterday that had 4 things in them. So I have a flower, which is being eaten by the butterfly, eats the nectar, which is being eaten by the bird, which is being eaten by the fox. So again, I started with producer. Think to yourself, what does producer mean? Excellent. It means it does not eat. So the only one in there that is not eating anything is my flower. So I know the flower is the producer. So now I need to look for my consumers. The flower is being eaten by the butterfly. That makes that a consumer. The butterfly is being eaten by the bird. Makes it a consumer. The bird is being eaten by the fox. That makes it a consumer. Because a consumer is any animal that eats another thing. Eats anything. If it can eat, it's a consumer. So I've labelled my producers and consumers. Now I need to look for my predators. So remember, a predator is an animal that eats another animal. So it's not just a consumer, it's also eating animals. So start with the fox. I know the fox is a predator because it's eating the bird. But the bird is also eating the butterfly, so that makes it a predator too. But the bird is being eaten, so surely that makes it prey too. The bird is a predator because it eats the butterfly, but it's also prey because it's being eaten by the fox. That's where a few of you tripped up yesterday. Something can be predator and prey. And the last thing I had to label is the butterfly is prey because it's being eaten. It's not a predator, it's not eating another animal. So I know that's a lot of new words, but you did really well yesterday. So now I'm going to show you how I made one of those food chains, that's the word. I'm going to show you how I made one of those food chains so you can make one for yourself. Future Ellen, cut here, put it in here. I'm just going to quickly show you a demonstration of making one of those food chains. So the first thing I had to do was fold my strip of paper. Now if you don't have a strip of plain paper, you can just use a page from your workbook. If you don't want to cut any out, you can just draw lines instead of folding, that's absolutely fine. But I folded, and we know how to fold. Have a little think, what fraction have I folded my piece of paper into? I folded it into 1, 2, 3 pieces. What fraction is that? Excellent, well done if you got that. I folded it into thirds, 1, 2, 3. And I make sure they're the same by folding into the middle like we've done a lot of times in school. So, first thing I need to do is look at the Google slide and pick my 3 animals. So, I've actually picked 3 that aren't on there so that we're not doing the same one. So, I've picked grass, lion and zebra. So I need to think which one of those is going to go first. Which one doesn't eat anything? Grass, lion or zebra? Well done, it would be the grass. Now, these drawings I'm doing with one hand, so they might not be the best drawings, but I'll give it a go. So there's my grass. And I need to think what comes next, lion or zebra? I can remember that a zebra is a herbivore, so my zebra would come next. One-handed zebra. Ooh. Oh yes. Perfect. And it's stripy. Lovely. There's my zebra, which means that the lion, we know the lion's the king of the jungle, comes next. There's his big mane. He's a smiling zebra. Grass, zebra, lion. First thing I need to do is add my arrows. So I know that the grass is being eaten by the zebra and the zebra is being eaten by the lion. So you all seem really confident on those arrows. Well done, but make sure you've got them down before you start labelling. The first word I need to label is the word producer. Every food chain usually starts with a producer. So, which of these 3 things is not eating anything else? Excellent, it would be the grass. Doesn't have an arrow pointing towards it, it doesn't eat like we do, it makes its own food. And I apologise for my handwriting, but I'm trying to do this while filming. I'm sure yours will be much neater. So then we have the zebra. So the next words I need to fill in is the word consumer. And I know that the zebra eats grass, and anything that eats is a consumer. So I'm going to call this consumer. I'm just going to check there's no more consumers. So a lion, he eats a zebra. So that must make him a consumer as well because he can eat. Anything that can eat is a consumer. Doesn't matter what they're eating. And the next word I need to do is predator. So a predator, have a think, what does that mean? Excellent, that's an animal that eats another animal. So I can see my lion is eating my zebra. So that makes it a predator. And lions are one of the most ferocious predators. And if the zebra is being eaten, that makes it prey. Any animal that gets eaten is prey. So there we are, I have finished my food chain. So, just like the other ones I've done, I'm now going to go back to the slides and show you where to find the animals you're going to use, and hopefully you'll be able to make some lovely food chains just like these. Okay, so the first food chain, let's just make my face a bit smaller. The first food chain you're going to make is 3 parts, and you've got 3 options to choose from. So you've got the top one, second one, bottom one. You need to pick one of those. They are not in the right order. You need to put them in the right order and then make your 3-part food chain. You just choose one. So for example, I might choose the middle food chain, and then I would get my folded piece of paper and put them in the right order and label them. And then for your 4-part food chain, these are the 4 animals I'd like you to use. I want you to put them in the right order and then put them onto your food chain. So you've got a choice with the 3-part one. You've got 3 choices, but for 4-part, we're all going to make the same one. So good luck, and send me a picture of your finished food chain. You might like to colour it in as well and have a little bit of fun with it.